are you all doing? I'm very spiritual tonight. I want you to know I'm very spiritual. My father-in-law, precious LindsayRoberts, went home to be with the Lord this past December 15th, and he taught me one thing. He said it over and over and over. He taught my children. Will you hand me that cheesecake, Dorothy? No, mine. Yeah. Yeah. He said, life is short. Eat dessert first. So I did, and so now we've got it set on the right course, and we've got everything in order. We're following oral. I had to follow you. That is unfair. But tonight I want to talk about ketchup. Yes, I'm serious. You say tomato, I say ketchup. The first clue to the storied past of ketchup can be found in large bold letters on the right of the Heinz bottle as it says tomato ketchup. Is that redundant? Aren't tomatoes the key ingredient? Actually, no. The English word ketchup, also spelled catsup, in a dozen other ways, derives from an Indonesian word called kecap, which in turn was taken from the Chinese word kisap. It's an Asian word that was originally based fish sauce with anchovies that were fermented. They were dissolved in brine. When this sauce made its way to Europe in the 1600s, it was with the key ingredients anchovies, mushrooms, walnuts, oysters, and lemons. Over the next couple of centuries, only salt was the same ingredient. In the 1780s, as it came to the New World, tomatoes were known to be used by James Meese, a physician and horticulturist, and he dated it 1812. However, it was not officially born until 1872 when Henry J. Heinz developed the recipe that the company still uses today. He used ripe tomatoes, he added sugar, vinegar, and onion and a special blend of spices. The result was the condiment that we see having the major taste components salt, bitter, sweet, and savory. This winning combination became the American definition of ketchup. Now, if you're all excited about that, it remained the same way for over a century. Now, the good news is it stayed the same. The bad news is they messed it up. First, they tried to change it recently with green ketchup. Briefly, they went to blue, pink, orange, and teal. They were exactly the same except for the color, and immediately discontinued in a short period of time. No kidding, teal ketchup. Now, the reason I read you that was because of Russell and Dorothy. Do you realize that it took over 3 centuries, 300 years, to get ketchup right? And as soon as they got it right, they messed it up. Well, I want to tell you, it did not take Dorothy and Russell 300 years to get it right. And when they got it, they're not going to mess it up. You know, she kept saying to me, well, first of all, for 15 years, she kept telling me to get here. I'm slow, but I got here. But the one thing Dorothy kept saying while we were across the side in the other building, and I completely wrote this down so I completely changed what I was going to say to you, was because Dorothy kept saying, we have to cross over to the other side. We're not here yet, we have to go over to the other side. And we were kind of weaving through people, and she kept saying, we're not there yet, we have to go over to the other side. The building that we're looking at, the rest of the building, is on the other side. And immediately I thought of the 4 places that the Bible talks about. It talks about Gilgal, Bethel, Jericho, and the other side. Jordan means crossing over to the other side and obtaining the promise of God. Gilgal, cloud by day, fire by night, manna drying up, been there, done that. The next one, Bethel, the place of testing. How many of you have ever escaped the place of testing? I would love to meet you. I don't believe you exist, but if you do, come shake my hand. We're all going to be tested. But then when you survive the testing, you think, well, hallelujah, we survived the testing. Yeah, only to go to war. And Bethel means the place of war. Jericho means the place of war. And Joshua, the Battle of Jericho, it sounds so great. In fact, they make songs about it. Yeah, no thanks. But once you've passed through the war and you think, could there be anything else? The answer is yes. Most people stop in the war, and if they win the war, or they're not dead in the war, or they've survived the battle, and they can say, hallelujah, it didn't kill me, and they stop there. I remember when I was trying to have children. I was told at 18 I'd never have children. I went through absolutely every kind of testing, every kind of trial, tumor the size of a grapefruit, 2 miscarriages, a dead son. By the time I had my 4th pregnancy, I had already been through so many surgeries, I lost count. And as you go through these things, you can get discouraged. When you're in the middle of battle after battle after battle, discouragement can sometimes become your best friend. And if you're not discouraged, you feel weird. So you embrace discouragement. And one time I went to my father-in-law, I said, I quit, I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't want to be in the ministry, don't want to be in the healing ministry, I don't want to get pregnant again. And so, you know, he was Oral Roberts. He wouldn't take it for a minute. And he said, okay. But he said, if you give up now in believing God for your children, now by then I'm 29. This diagnosis started at 18, and I am now 29. And by then, I had had a lot of discouragement and a lot of grief and a lot of funerals along the way. And so when I said, I just give up, he said, okay, okay. But he said one thing that really ticked me off, because he said something that hit my heart and it hit my soul. He said, if you quit, what's on the other side of the miracle that you did not get? And I said, not fair. Well, see, on the other side of my miracle was, guess what? Miscarriage after miscarriage, dead baby, surgery after surgery. What do you think I'd name the first baby that lived? My daughter's name is Jordan, because it means crossing over to the other side and obtaining the promise of God. So easy to quit. Jordan just got back about 2 weeks ago with her dad. She was with the Prime Minister's wife of Kenya on the 3rd trip, I think. Promised this woman 2 million meals. A medical team, a team of evangelists, a team of preachers, a team of singers to go in with her daddy, and most of all to go to one of the largest slums in the world, a place called Kibera, and take in the medical team and now it's almost 2.5 million meals. This is a kid that didn't have to do what she did, and she didn't even have to be born. But had I given up, on the other side of my whining, griping, and complaining that my family wouldn't have any part of, was this precious child, now 24 years old, been on the mission field with her dad literally 1/2 of her life. She started at 12, and at 24 years old, she's sitting with the wife of the Prime Minister of the nation of Kenya telling her, I will bring you 2 million meals. And she did.